The massive alien ships hung in Earth's atmosphere like dark storm clouds, their metallic hulls gleaming under Earth's sun. The sight of these vessels sent chills down the spines of everyone who looked up at the sky that fateful day. In Seoul's defense ministry, Colonel Park Ji-won couldn't take his eyes off the telescope screen. His hands gripped the edges of his desk so hard his knuckles turned white. The ships had appeared 3 days ago, positioning themselves in a perfect formation above major cities worldwide. Their arrival had thrown the world into chaos. Stock markets crashed, religious leaders called for calm, and military forces worldwide went on high alert. Despite the panic, Earth's governments had managed to form a unified response council in record time. Colonel Park's office overlooked the bustling city of Seoul, where life continued despite the looming threat above. People walked the streets, though their faces showed worry and fear. Many had started stockpiling food and supplies, preparing for the worst. The colonel understood their fear. He felt it too. Lieutenant Kim Hyori burst through his office door, her usual composed demeanor cracking under stress. Her uniform was slightly disheveled, suggesting she had run all the way from the communications center. "Sir, the aliens are broadcasting," she exclaimed, catching her breath. Park turned away from the window. "What are they saying?" he asked, though something in his gut told him it wouldn't be good news. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies, sir. Radio, television, internet, everything." Hyori handed him a tablet. "They're calling themselves the Galactic Federation. Their leader, Admiral Vex, demands Earth's immediate surrender and integration into their empire." Park read through the message, his frown deepening with each word. The aliens' demands were clear. Earth would submit to their rule, or face consequences. They gave humanity 6 hours to respond. "Have you informed the Unified Council?" Park asked, already knowing the answer. "Yes, sir. They're meeting now via video conference." But Hyori hesitated, her voice dropping. "Sir, many council members think we should agree to their terms. They believe resistance would be futile." Park slammed his fist on the desk, making Hyori jump. "Surrender without a fight? That's not happening. Not while I'm alive." The colonel turned back to the window, studying the alien vessel hovering above Seoul. Its dark hull blocked out part of the sun, casting an ominous shadow over the city. The ship's design was unlike anything humans had ever created. Smooth, almost organic in appearance, with no visible windows or external equipment. "Sir," Hyori spoke again, her voice trembling slightly. "What do you think they'll do if we refuse?" Before Park could answer, a bright flash lit up the sky. For a moment, it was as bright as day, forcing them to shield their eyes. When they looked again, horror struck them both silent. The alien ships had opened fire. Beams of energy rained down on Seoul, striking buildings and infrastructure with surgical precision. The Defense Ministry's reinforced windows rattled with each impact. Similar attacks were happening worldwide. New York, London, Tokyo, all major cities faced the same devastating assault. Park watched helplessly as Seoul, the city he had sworn to protect, burned. The aliens' weapons were beyond anything Earth's military had prepared for. Each blast left craters in the ground, and buildings collapsed like houses of cards. The screams of civilians filled the air, barely audible over the sound of destruction. "Get me connected to our remaining military bases," Park ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "And contact the bunker network. We need to save as many people as we can." Hyori rushed to comply, her training taking over despite her fear. The Defense Ministry's emergency protocols activated, and alarms blared throughout the building. The aliens continued their assault for hours. They targeted military installations, government buildings, and infrastructure with frightening accuracy. It was clear they had studied Earth thoroughly before attacking. By nightfall, most major cities lay in ruins. Admiral Vex's voice boomed across all communication channels again. "This is but a taste of our power," the alien leader declared. "Submit now, and we will spare what remains of your civilization." In the partially destroyed Defense Ministry, Park and his team worked tirelessly to coordinate evacuation efforts. The colonel's face was streaked with dust and sweat, but his determination never wavered. "They think this will break us," he said to Hayuri, who hadn't left his side despite the danger. "They expect us to give up after one attack." "Won't we?" Hayuri asked, looking at the destruction outside. "Look what they did in just one day. How can we fight back against this?" Park's expression hardened. "Because we're human," he replied. "Throughout history, whenever someone tried to conquer us, we fought back. We adapted. We survived. These aliens think they know us, but they don't understand what humanity is capable of when pushed into a corner." As if to emphasize his point, reports started coming in from around the world. Despite the devastating attack, resistance groups were already forming. Scientists were analyzing the alien weapons, looking for weaknesses. Military forces were regrouping underground, preparing for a long fight. The aliens had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed that a show of force would break humanity's spirit. Instead, their attack had united Earth's people like never before. Old enemies set aside their differences, focusing on the common threat. The bombardment hadn't crushed human resistance. It had ignited it. As night fell over the burning city, Park looked at the alien ships still hovering above. "They think they've won," he said quietly. "But they've just started a fight they'll regret." He turned to his team, his voice firm with resolve. "We're not defeated. We're just getting started." The aliens would soon learn that bombing Earth wasn't the end of the fight. It was only the beginning of their worst nightmare. 30 days after the initial bombardment, deep within the Gangwon Mountains, humans had carved out a fortress of hope. The Phoenix Base, as it was called, buzzed with activity day and night. Scientists, military personnel, and survivors worked together in the vast underground complex, all united by one goal: finding a way to fight back. Dr. Lee Minho hadn't slept properly in days. His eyes were red from staring at holographic displays, studying the data collected from the alien attacks. Empty coffee cups littered his workspace, testament to his relentless dedication. Around him, other scientists worked just as hard, their faces lit by the blue glow of computer screens. Captain Yoon Dami entered the research lab, carrying fresh data from the surface observers. Unlike many military officers, she had quickly learned to work well with the scientific team. Her practical experience complemented their theoretical knowledge. The aliens launched another attack on Busan's ruins, she reported, placing a data drive on Lee's desk. "Our hidden sensors captured everything." Lee immediately plugged the drive into his system. New holographic displays sprang to life, showing the alien weapons in action. The scientist leaned forward, his tired eyes suddenly alert. "There," he muttered, freezing one frame. "Do you see that ripple effect when they fire?" He enhanced the image, zooming in on the alien ship's shield. Dami moved closer, studying the display. The shimmer around their hull. "I thought that was normal shield behavior." Lee shook his head excitedly. "No, look closer. Every time they fire their main weapons, there's a split-second fluctuation in their shield harmonics. It's like..." He paused, searching for a simple explanation. "Like they have to lower their defenses slightly to let their weapons fire through." The revelation energized the entire lab. Other scientists gathered around, offering their observations. One pointed out how the fluctuation pattern repeated with exact precision. Another noticed that smaller alien ships showed larger fluctuations. "Can we use this against them?" Dami asked, her military mind already considering tactical applications. Lee's face broke into a grim smile. "With the right weapon, we could hit them during that microsecond of weakness. Their shields would be useless." The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Lee's team split into groups, each tackling a different aspect of the problem. Some worked on calculating the exact timing of the shield fluctuations. Others began designing weapons that could exploit this weakness. The tricky part, Lee explained to Dami, who stayed to help coordinate, is hitting them at exactly the right moment. We're talking about a window of opportunity that lasts less than a thousandth of a second. Our current weapons aren't fast enough, Damie realized, frowning. No, they're not, Lee agreed. But we're not going to use current weapons. We're going to build something new. He pulled up designs on his screen. Something they won't expect. The concept was brilliant in its simplicity. They would create a two-stage weapon. The first stage would force the aliens to fire their main weapons, triggering the shield fluctuation. The second stage would strike precisely when the shields were weakest. As word of the discovery spread through Phoenix Base, hope began to grow. People walked with new purpose in their steps. The aliens weren't invincible after all. In a secure conference room, Lee and Damie presented their findings to the base leadership. General Kim, the facilities commander, listened intently as they explained the shield weakness and their proposed solution. How long until we can have a working prototype? The general asked. 2 weeks for the basic version, Lee replied. A month for something we can mass produce. Make it faster, General Kim ordered. The aliens are getting bolder. They're starting to land ground forces. The news sent a chill through the room. Until now, the aliens had stayed in orbit, seemingly content with bombing from above. Ground forces meant they were preparing for occupation. Lee's team worked even harder after that. They scrapped their breaks, worked through meals, and slept in shifts. The workshop area of Phoenix Base became a hive of activity as they built and tested prototypes. The first tests were disappointing. Their timing was off, the weapons too slow. But with each failure, they learned more. They refined their designs, improved their calculations. On the 10th day, they had a breakthrough. A test weapon successfully penetrated a shield they'd built using salvaged alien technology. The lab erupted in cheers. This is just the beginning, Lee told his team, even as they celebrated. Now we need to make it better, faster, stronger. Damie watched the scientists work with newfound respect. These men and women, armed with nothing but their minds and determination, were creating humanity's best hope for survival. You know what this means? She asked Lee as they reviewed the successful test data. We can hurt them now. Really hurt them. Lee nodded, his expression serious. The aliens thought they could bomb us into submission. They thought their technology made them invincible. He looked at the weapon prototype, its metal surface gleaming under the lab lights. They're about to learn that humans are at their most dangerous when backed into a corner. The message spread throughout Phoenix Base. Humanity had found a way to fight back. The aliens' greatest strength had become their weakness. Now it was just a matter of time. As Lee and his team refined their invention, Damie couldn't help but smile. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They should have finished the job when they had the chance. Because now, humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for revenge. And they had just found their secret weapon. The ruins of Busan lay silent under the afternoon sun. Broken buildings cast long shadows across empty streets, while alien patrols moved through the destruction with arrogant confidence. Commander Kang Juno watched them from his hidden observation post, carefully noting their movements and patterns. The aliens had grown lazy in their occupation. They believed humans were beaten, reduced to scavenging in the ruins of their cities. Their patrols had become routine, predictable. They never bothered to look too closely at the piles of rubble or the seemingly abandoned buildings. Behind one such pile of debris, Shunho activated his hidden communication device. The small screen lit up, showing Dr. Choi Eun-hye's face. She was working in one of the vast underground facilities beneath the city, where thousands of survivors lived and worked in secret. How are the weapon modifications coming along? Juno asked quietly, keeping one eye on the alien patrol. Better than expected, Yoonho replied, her voice barely above a whisper despite being safely underground. The frequency modulators are performing perfectly in our tests. We're ready to begin mass production. Junho nodded, watching as the alien patrol passed by his position. Their tall, armored forms moved with an almost mechanical precision. They never suspected that beneath their feet, humans were preparing their downfall. The underground network had grown extensively since the invasion. Old subway tunnels, bomb shelters, and newly dug passages connected to create a vast hidden city. While the aliens patrolled the ruined streets above, humans thrived below. In one of the larger chambers, Dr. Choi Yunha supervised the final assembly of their new weapons. The room hummed with activity as technicians worked on dozens of devices. Each one looked deceptively simple, just a small cylinder with a few control panels. "Run the final diagnostic," Yunha ordered, her voice carrying authority despite her young age. Before the invasion, she had been a promising researcher at KAIST. Now she led the weapon development team. The test results came back positive. The frequency modulators worked perfectly, ready to exploit the weakness in alien shield technology. Every time they fired their weapons, their shields would falter for a fraction of a second. That tiny window of vulnerability would be their downfall. Above ground, Shunho's team continued their careful observation. They documented everything: patrol routes, communication patterns, guard rotations. The aliens never noticed the small devices being planted near their bases, disguised as debris. "They're so confident," one of Chunho's scouts reported. "They don't even check the buildings anymore, just walk right past them." Chunho smiled grimly. "Pride comes before the fall," he said. "Keep planting the devices. Soon we'll show them what a real fight looks like." In another part of the underground complex, communication operators maintained contact with resistance cells worldwide. Similar preparations were happening everywhere. From the ruins of London to the underground bunkers of Tokyo, humanity prepared in silence. The United Earth Defense Council held regular meetings via secure channels. Today, they received Yunha's report about the weapons' readiness. The news spread quickly through the resistance network, raising spirits and strengthening resolve. "The aliens think they've won," Yunha told the council. "They believe their technology makes them invincible, but we've turned their greatest strength into a weakness." Back on the surface, Shunho watched night fall over the ruined city. The alien patrol ships cast eerie green lights across the destruction. Soon, those same ships would learn the cost of underestimating humanity. In the underground workshops, production continued around the clock. Each weapon was carefully tested and calibrated. They would only get one chance at surprise. It had to be perfect. "Remember," Yunha told her team, "these need to be foolproof. When the signal comes, every resistance cell on Earth will strike at once." The aliens had no idea what was coming. They saw only what they expected to see: a defeated species struggling to survive. They didn't notice the determination in human eyes, the purpose in their movements, the quiet preparation for war. Chunho made his way back to the underground base as darkness fell. He passed through hidden entrances and security checkpoints, finally reaching the main command center. Maps covered the walls, showing alien positions and human resistance cells worldwide. "How much longer?" he asked Yuna, who was reviewing the latest production numbers. "2 more days," she replied. "Then we'll have enough weapons for every major cell." Shunho nodded, studying the maps. "The aliens won't know what hit them. They thought bombing our cities would break us. Instead, they just taught us how to fight back." Throughout the underground complex, humans continued their preparations. They moved with quiet purpose, each person knowing their role in the coming battle. The aliens had forced humanity to adapt, to become stronger, more resourceful. Above ground, alien patrols continued their rounds, oblivious to the storm gathering beneath their feet. They never questioned why humans seemed so submissive, why they kept their eyes down and stayed in the shadows. They would learn soon enough. The predators were about to become prey. In her workshop, Yunha powered down the final prototype. Everything was ready. Humanity had endured, adapted, and prepared. Now they would show the aliens exactly what they had awakened when they bombed Earth. The time for silence was almost over. Soon, very soon, the real war would begin. Major Song Minna kept her head bowed as the alien overseer passed by, its metallic boots clicking against the polished floor. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the effort of containing her anger. The overseer paused, towering over her kneeling form. "Clean this sector again," it commanded in its harsh, mechanical voice. "I see dust on the upper panels." "Yes, Overseer," Minna replied meekly, clutching her cleaning tools. Her eyes remained downcast, but her mind recorded every detail: the Overseer's movement patterns, the timing of guard rotations, the placement of security cameras. The aliens had turned Earth's surviving population into their servants, using them for menial tasks they considered beneath their superior species. They never suspected that their human workers were actually their greatest threat. In a hidden laboratory deep beneath the city, Professor Song Jinyang, Minna's brother, worked tirelessly at his computer terminal. Stolen alien communication devices lay dissected on his workbench. Streams of alien code filled his screens. "Look at this," he told his team, pointing to a pattern in the data. "Their entire communication network runs on a predictable encryption cycle. Every 6 hours, the keys change following this sequence." The team of former computer scientists and hackers gathered around, studying the discovery. The aliens' overconfidence had led them to use simple, standardized protocols. They never imagined humans could understand their technology, let alone exploit it. Above ground, Minna finished cleaning and moved to her next assigned area. Her cleaning cart contained more than just supplies. Hidden compartments held sophisticated scanning devices and miniature transmitters. Every room she cleaned, every corridor she mopped, was secretly mapped and analyzed. "The main control room has 3 guard shifts," she reported later that night, speaking quietly into a hidden communicator. "They change every 4 hours, with a 2-minute gap between rotations." Jinyang recorded her observations, adding them to the growing database of alien procedures and weaknesses. "Perfect," he replied. The resistance cells in Tokyo and London report similar patterns. The aliens are creatures of habit. Across the globe, other human servants played their parts perfectly. They cleaned alien facilities, maintained their equipment, and prepared their food, all while gathering intelligence and planting tiny surveillance devices in overlooked corners. The aliens never questioned why humans accepted their roles so readily. They believed their show of force had broken humanity's spirit. Their arrogance blinded them to the truth. Every bowed head concealed a calculating mind. Every submissive gesture masked a fighter's spirit. In the resistance bunkers, training continued day and night. Fighters learned to use the new weapons developed by their scientists. Others practiced computer hacking using stolen alien technology. All of them waited for the signal to strike. Minna's daily routine became a careful dance of deception. She learned to move invisibly through the alien facility, becoming part of the background. The aliens barely glanced at her as she worked, never noticing how she studied their technology, their weapons, their vulnerabilities. "They're planning something big," she reported one evening, after witnessing a meeting of alien commanders. "They're bringing in more ships, talking about expanding their control." Jinyang added this information to his growing database. "Let them come," he said grimly. "Every new ship, every new alien, is just another target when we strike." The resistance network grew stronger each day. Hidden messages passed between cleaning staff, maintenance workers, and food servers. Small devices, disguised as dust or debris, appeared in crucial locations throughout alien facilities. Each one gathered data, recorded conversations, mapped security systems. The aliens believed they had created a perfect system of control. Their human servants worked efficiently, kept their heads down, and never caused trouble. They never suspected that their entire operation had been compromised from within. "How many devices are in place now?" Jinyang asked during a secret resistance meeting. "Over 3,000 in this facility alone," Minna replied. "Similar numbers worldwide. When we activate them, we'll have complete access to their systems." The resistance leaders nodded in approval. The plan was working perfectly. While the aliens grew more complacent each day, humanity's hidden strength grew stronger. In her quarters that night, Minna removed her servant's uniform and looked at herself in the mirror. The aliens saw a broken human, trained to serve without question. They couldn't see the soldier underneath, the major who had led troops in battle before the invasion. Soon, she whispered to her reflection. Very soon. The next morning, she returned to her cleaning duties, playing her part perfectly. The aliens never noticed her slight smile as she worked, never suspected that their servant was actually their enemy. In his underground lab, Jinyoung put the finishing touches on their virus program. When activated, it would spread through the aliens' communication network, disrupting their entire command structure. All those standardized protocols, all that predictable encryption, would become their downfall. The resistance was ready. Weapons were prepared, fighters trained, systems compromised. They waited only for the perfect moment to strike. And still, the aliens never suspected. They looked at their human servants and saw only submission. They had forgotten an important lesson about wolves. Sometimes they wore sheep's clothing, waiting for the right moment to show their true nature. That moment was coming soon. Very soon. The morning sun rose over Earth's ruined cities as General Han Seojin stood in the Global Command Center, deep beneath the Korean mountains. Hundreds of screens showed resistance forces worldwide, all waiting for his signal. The moment they had prepared for had finally arrived. All units report ready, his communications officer announced. London, Tokyo, New York, Moscow. Everyone is in position. Seojin took a deep breath, looking at the main display. Thousands of red dots marked alien positions. Soon, those dots would start disappearing. Send the code, he ordered. Operation Payback begins now. The signal raced through hidden networks worldwide. In every city, in every alien facility, humans who had played the role of servants suddenly sprang into action. Their carefully maintained masks of submission dropped away, revealing the warriors beneath. Lieutenant Park Dae-ho led his team through the maintenance tunnels beneath Seoul's alien headquarters. They moved silently, carrying weapons that looked nothing like traditional human firearms. Each one contained Dr. Lee's revolutionary technology, designed to exploit the fatal flaw in alien shields. Remember, Dae-ho whispered to his team, wait for their shields to power up. That's when they're most vulnerable. Above them, the aliens were already responding to the first signs of rebellion. Their warriors rushed to battle stations, activating their supposedly impenetrable defense screens. They never realized they were doing exactly what the humans wanted. The attack began simultaneously worldwide. In London, resistance fighters emerged from underground bunkers. In New York, maintenance workers dropped their tools and grabbed hidden weapons. In Tokyo, cleaning staff transformed into combat units. Dae-ho's team reached their designated position. Through concealed cameras, they watched aliens scrambling to respond to the uprising. Now, he commanded. The new weapons fired. Beams of energy, calibrated to exactly the right frequency, struck the alien shields at their weakest point. The supposedly invincible barriers shattered like glass. Alien screams filled the air as their greatest defense failed them. They had never experienced real combat without their shields. They had never needed to. In the command center, Seojin watched the battle unfold. Years of preparation, months of gathering intelligence, weeks of positioning forces. Everything came together perfectly. Multiple targets neutralized in Sector 7, a voice reported. Alien command structure is breaking down. The aliens tried to call for reinforcements from their orbital fleet, but Professor Song's virus had already infected their communications network. Their calls for help reached no one. Dae-ho led his team deeper into the alien headquarters. With their shields gone, the aliens proved surprisingly vulnerable to human weapons. They had relied too heavily on their defensive technology, never developing the combat skills that humans had perfected over centuries of warfare. "They're retreating," someone shouted. "They're actually running." The aliens had never expected this level of resistance. They had thought themselves invincible, superior, untouchable. Now they learned the terrible truth. They had awakened something far more dangerous than they could handle. Reports flooded into the command center. New York's alien garrison had surrendered. London's resistance forces had captured their command center intact. Tokyo's aliens were in full retreat. "Send the message to their fleet," Seojin ordered. "Let them see what happens when you bomb the wrong planet." The alien ships in orbit received video feeds of their ground forces being decimated. They watched in horror as their supposedly inferior enemies systematically destroyed their invasion force. Daho's team reached the headquarters control room. The alien commander stood there, its tall form trembling with rage or fear. It was hard to tell with their species. "Impossible," it growled in its mechanical voice. "You are primitives. You cannot defeat us. You should have studied Earth's history better," Daho replied, his weapon aimed steadily. "Humans have a long tradition of defeating superior forces." More reports of victory poured in from around the globe. The aliens had lost their ground forces, their communication network, and most importantly, their aura of invincibility. In the command center, Seojin allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had thought their technology made them unstoppable. They never understood that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was their ability to adapt, to learn, to turn defeat into victory. "Sir," his aide reported, "alien ships are breaking orbit. They're retreating." The alien fleet fled Earth's atmosphere, leaving their ground forces behind. Their carefully planned invasion had turned into a complete disaster in less than a day. Daho watched from the captured headquarters as alien ships streaked across the sky. "They're running," he said to his team. Just like all bullies when someone fights back, humanity had won their first battle against the Alien Federation. They had proved that Earth wouldn't be an easy conquest, that humans wouldn't simply submit to superior technology. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would return, probably with a larger fleet. Next time, though, Earth would be ready. Humanity had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. The counter-strike had succeeded beyond their wildest hopes. Now it was time to prepare for the real war. The Bridge of the Vengeance hummed with energy as Captain Kim Ji-hai watched the alien defense station grow larger on the main screen. Earth's first faster-than-light warship moved silently through space, leading a fleet of 30 similar vessels. Each ship represented months of reverse engineering, countless hours of research, and humanity's unbreakable spirit. "Distance to target?" Jai asked, her voice steady despite the historic nature of their mission. 10,000 kilometers and closing, her navigation officer reported. "Their early warning systems haven't detected us yet." Dr. Yoon Min-soo stood at Jai's side, monitoring the ship's systems on his tablet. The scientist had barely slept during the past year, working tirelessly to understand and improve the alien technology they'd captured. Now, his innovations were about to be tested in real combat. "The stealth systems are working perfectly," Min-soo said with quiet pride. "Our energy signature matches their civilian transport vessels exactly." The alien defense station loomed larger on their screens. It was massive, a sprawling complex of interconnected platforms and docking bays. 6 months ago, such a sight would have filled them with dread. Now, it was just another target. "All ships report ready," the communications officer announced. "Strike groups are in position." Ji-hai nodded, remembering how far they'd come. After driving the aliens from Earth, humanity had worked feverishly to prepare for their return. But instead of waiting for another invasion, they had decided to take the fight to enemy territory. "Launch the first wave," she ordered. Small fighter craft poured from the Vengeance's launch bays, their designs a perfect blend of human intuition and alien technology. The pilots had trained for months in simulators, learning to handle the enhanced capabilities of their new vessels. The alien station's defense grid remained quiet, fooled by their disguised energy signatures. They had learned this trick from studying captured alien ships. Their enemies relied too heavily on automated systems, never considering that someone might learn to fool them. 5,000 kilometers, navigation reported. Still undetected. Mince's fingers flew over his tablet, making final adjustments to their weapons. "Remember," he said quietly, "their shields will be strongest at first. Wait for my signal before firing." The alien station finally noticed something wrong when the fighters began their attack runs. Alarm signals flashed across their screens as the station's defenders scrambled to respond. "Now," Jai commanded. "All ships, engage." The Vengeance's engines roared to full power as it dropped its disguise. Weapons that had once belonged to the aliens, now modified and improved by human engineers, opened fire. "Their shields are at maximum power," Mince reported, watching the readings. "Perfect. Fire the pulse cannons." Now, beams of concentrated energy struck the alien shields at precisely calculated points. The barriers, designed to be impenetrable, shattered under the assault. Humanity had learned well from their first encounter. Every alien weakness had been studied, every advantage exploited. Multiple hits confirmed. The weapons officer called out, "Their primary defense grid is offline." Jai allowed herself a small smile as chaos erupted on the alien station. They had never expected their former victims to strike so far from Earth. They certainly hadn't expected humans to master space combat so quickly. The battle unfolded exactly as planned. Human fighters darted between the station's defense towers, their enhanced maneuverability surprising the alien pilots. The larger ships provided covering fire, their improved weapons cutting through alien defenses like paper. Enemy reinforcements approaching, navigation warned. 3 heavy cruisers, bearing 270. "Right on schedule," Jai replied calmly. "Deploy strike groups 3 and 4. More human ships dropped out of FTL travel, catching the alien reinforcements in a perfectly executed pincer movement. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that knew all their tactics, all their technology's limitations, and had planned countermeasures for everything. Minsu watched the battle with scientific interest, noting how each of his modifications performed under real combat conditions. "The energy efficiency is even better than our simulations predicted," he observed. The alien station's commanders finally realized the gravity of their situation. Emergency signals began broadcasting on all frequencies, calling for help that wouldn't arrive in time. "They're powering up their main reactor," Minsu warned. "They're going to try to jump to FTL." "Not today," Jai said firmly. "Target their power core. Show them our latest innovation." The Vengeance's main cannon charged up, drawing power in a way the aliens had never imagined possible. Their own technology, refined and enhanced by human ingenuity, was about to be used against them. A single shot pierced the station's weakened defenses, striking its reactor with surgical precision. The massive structure began to break apart, its crew evacuating in panic. "Station neutralized," the weapons officer reported. "Enemy cruisers are retreating." Jai watched the alien ships flee, remembering how their roles had been reversed just months ago. "Let them run," she said. "Let them tell their leaders what happened here." The battle had lasted less than an hour. Humanity's first strike against alien territory had been a complete success. But more importantly, they had sent a clear message. Earth was no longer just defending itself. They were taking the fight to the enemy. As the Vengeance's crew began damage assessment and recovery operations, Jihai turned to Minsu. "Your improvements to their technology made this possible," she said. "What else do you have planned?" The scientist smiled, already thinking of new modifications and enhancements. "They thought they were so far ahead of us," he replied. "They never considered that humans might not just copy their technology. We'd make it better." The human fleet regrouped around the captured station, preparing for their next target. The aliens had started this war by bombing Earth. Now they would learn what it meant to face humanity's full potential. This was just the beginning. The massive space station, Harmony, floated serenely against a backdrop of stars, its neutral territory status marked by both human and alien flags. Inside the main conference chamber, Ambassador Lee Sunwoo stood tall, facing the assembled representatives of the Galactic Federation. The aliens' once proud demeanor had changed markedly since their failed invasion of Earth. Admiral Kang Hyunki stood behind her, his military uniform adorned with medals from both the resistance and the counter-invasion campaigns. His presence served as a quiet reminder of humanity's newfound strength in space. "Let us begin," Sunwoo announced, her voice carrying across the chamber. "We are here to discuss terms for lasting peace between Earth and the Federation." The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Their defeat had been thorough and humiliating. In just 18 months, humans had gone from being bombing victims to a force that threatened the Federation's very existence. "We acknowledge Earth's right to self-determination," the lead alien diplomat stated, its translator converting the words to crisp English. "The Federation regrets its hasty actions regarding your planet." Sunwoo allowed a small smile to cross her face. "Hasty actions? Is that what we're calling an orbital bombardment these days?" The aliens had learned that humans possessed something their species often lacked, a combination of technical brilliance and warrior spirit. Every victory against Earth had only made humans stronger, more determined, more dangerous. "The terms we propose are simple," Sunwoo continued, activating a holographic display. "First, the Federation will recognize Earth's sovereignty and our right to maintain a defense fleet. Second, you will share your technological database with us, all of it." The aliens muttered among themselves. Behind Sunwoo, Admiral Kang remained silent, but his presence spoke volumes. Earth's fleet now included hundreds of ships, each one improved beyond original alien specifications. Third, Sunwoo pressed on, the Federation will establish protocols preventing any member species from attacking inhabited planets without proper diplomatic contact and negotiation. "You ask much," one alien representative protested weakly. "We ask for civilization," Sunwoo corrected. "We ask for what you should have offered from the beginning. Or would you prefer we continue demonstrating our ability to improve upon your technology?" That threat silenced the chamber. Everyone remembered how human engineers had taken captured alien ships and made them better, faster, more powerful. The Federation's technological advantage had vanished in months. "We accept these terms," the lead alien diplomat announced. "The Federation acknowledges its errors and seeks peaceful relations with Earth." The alien station's commanders finally realized the gravity of their situation. Emergency signals began broadcasting on all frequencies, calling for help that wouldn't arrive in time. "They're powering up their main reactor," Minsu warned. "They're going to try to jump to FTL." "Not today," Jai said firmly. "Target their power core. Show them our latest innovation." The Vengeance's main cannon charged up, drawing power in a way the aliens had never imagined possible. Their own technology, refined and enhanced by human ingenuity, was about to be used against them. A single shot pierced the station's weakened defenses, striking its reactor with surgical precision. The massive structure began to break apart, its crew evacuating in panic. "Station neutralized," the weapons officer reported. "Enemy cruisers are retreating." Jai watched the alien ships flee, remembering how their roles had been reversed just months ago. "Let them run," she said. "Let them tell their leaders what happened here." The battle had lasted less than an hour. Humanity's first strike against alien territory had been a complete success. But more importantly, they had sent a clear message. Earth was no longer just defending itself. They were taking the fight to the enemy. As the Vengeance's crew began damage assessment and recovery operations, Jihai turned to Minsu. "Your improvements to their technology made this possible," she said. "What else do you have planned?" The scientist smiled, already thinking of new modifications and enhancements. "They thought they were so far ahead of us," he replied. "They never considered that humans might not just copy their technology. We'd make it better." The human fleet regrouped around the captured station, preparing for their next target. The aliens had started this war by bombing Earth. Now they would learn what it meant to face humanity's full potential. This was just the beginning. The massive space station, Harmony, floated serenely against a backdrop of stars, its neutral territory status marked by both human and alien flags. Inside the main conference chamber, Ambassador Lee Sunwoo stood tall, facing the assembled representatives of the Galactic Federation. The aliens' once proud demeanor had changed markedly since their failed invasion of Earth. Admiral Kang Hyunki stood behind her, his military uniform adorned with medals from both the resistance and the counter-invasion campaigns. His presence served as a quiet reminder of humanity's newfound strength in space. "Let us begin," Sunwoo announced, her voice carrying across the chamber. "We are here to discuss terms for lasting peace between Earth and the Federation." The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Their defeat had been thorough and humiliating. In just 18 months, humans had gone from being bombing victims to a force that threatened the Federation's very existence. "We acknowledge Earth's right to self-determination," the lead alien diplomat stated, its translator converting the words to crisp English. "The Federation regrets its hasty actions regarding your planet." Sunwoo allowed a small smile to cross her face. "Hasty actions? Is that what we're calling an orbital bombardment these days?" The aliens had learned that humans possessed something their species often lacked, a combination of technical brilliance and warrior spirit. Every victory against Earth had only made humans stronger, more determined, more dangerous. "The terms we propose are simple," Sunwoo continued, activating a holographic display. "First, the Federation will recognize Earth's sovereignty and our right to maintain a defense fleet. Second, you will share your technological database with us, all of it." The aliens muttered among themselves. Behind Sunwoo, Admiral Kang remained silent, but his presence spoke volumes. Earth's fleet now included hundreds of ships, each one improved beyond original alien specifications. Third, Sunwoo pressed on. "The Federation will establish protocols preventing any member species from attacking inhabited planets without proper diplomatic contact and negotiation." "You ask much," one alien representative protested weakly. "We ask for civilization," Sunwoo corrected. "We ask for what you should have offered from the beginning. Or would you prefer we continue demonstrating our ability to improve upon your technology?" That threat silenced the chamber. Everyone remembered how human engineers had taken captured alien ships and made them better, faster, more powerful. The Federation's technological advantage had vanished in months. "We accept these terms," the lead alien diplomat announced. "The Federation acknowledges its errors and seeks peaceful relations with Earth." Admiral Kang stepped forward, speaking for the first time. "Remember this lesson well," he said quietly. "Humanity does not seek war, but we will never again be helpless victims. We adapt. We improve. We overcome." The peace treaty was signed within hours. The aliens had learned their lesson. Bombing Earth hadn't subjected humanity. It had awakened a sleeping giant. Their attempt to conquer one planet had instead created a new power in the galaxy. As the alien representatives filed out, Sunwoo turned to Kang. "Do you think they'll honor the agreement?" "They'd better," he replied. "Because next time, we won't stop at defense stations." Earth's transformation had been remarkable. Cities were rebuilt, stronger than before. The planet's united defense force grew daily, incorporating both human innovation and alien technology. Schools taught alien languages alongside Earth's own. Humanity had not just survived. They had evolved. "Ambassador," an aide called out, "Earth Command is requesting an update." Sunwoo nodded, activating the communication screen. "The treaty is signed. Tell them humanity's place in the galaxy is secure." The stars outside the station's windows seemed brighter somehow, full of promise rather than threat. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had turned defeat into victory, invasion into opportunity. "Never again," Sunwoo whispered, echoing the phrase that had become Earth's unofficial motto. Never again would they be vulnerable. Never again would they be seen as primitive or weak. The Federation had bombed Earth thinking they would find easy conquest. Instead, they had discovered something far more dangerous, a species that refused to break, that learned from every defeat, that turned their enemies' strength against them. As the Harmony Station began its slow rotation, Earth could be seen in the distance, a blue jewel in space, now protected by a fleet of ships that symbolized humanity's indomitable spirit. The aliens had taught humanity a harsh lesson about the galaxy's dangers. But humanity had taught them an even harsher lesson in return. Never underestimate those you think beneath you. Because sometimes your victims become your teachers, or worse, your conquerors. The war was over. Peace had come, and humanity had ensured that no species would ever again mistake technological advancement for superiority. After all, as Earth had proved, true strength lay not in the weapons you possessed, but in how quickly you could learn to use your enemy's weapons against them. The end.